left my boots and my faded jeans in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and swapped them for a coat and tie and someplace else to go. I had days that were laced with white lines on narrow blacktop roads, with honky-tonks surrounded me in drunken episodes. Those flashing lights and them busted fists and winning with no name. And morning past the night before I learned to play the game. Then one night I was peeling labels on empty bottles of beer. A sweet young girl in her guitar played tunes I swore were yours.
That sweet young girl was named Kaija Oman. Haven't been able to find her since. Welcome, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, saints and sinners, to the Church of the Search, where we do nothing but talk about the Forest Fenn treasure, and I guess we don't do nothing but listen to some jazz. Music behind me is She Played Memories, a song that I wrote and is sung by John Salazar. And a friend of mine, Angelin, is working on it. See if we can update it and bring it back to its country and western style. Open night tonight. I will open the phones after a little bit. If you need to reach out to me, there's a couple of ways to do that. Number one, you can precede your question in the chat room with an @ sign, a Gypsy's Kiss, and that way it'll highlight it for me and I'll see it there. You can also send a text message to 202-815-1171. That's the number you see below my chin here. And then, of course, you're always welcome to use the stylized but grayed out $sign at the bottom of your chat window, introducing you to the world of Super Chat. A little YouTube kind of thing. Enjoy that. We'll be back in a minute. I have a couple of housekeeping things to take off, and then we'll get started with the night.
I drank her words like they were wine and looked into her eyes. She turned her head and walked away, made me realize the longest days and the darkest nights were more than I could face. The only thing that I could do would leave that lonesome place. But she played memories that kind of leave romance to me. The dark rhapsodies, the midnight rendezvous. Yeah, she played memories of songs that made me blue. Sweet soft melodies that took me back to you. Took me back to you.
Thanks for joining me tonight. Glad you guys could make it. Need to take care of a little business here.
Housekeeping, you want those?
Remember to like this video. YouTube likes it when you like our videos. The Magical Treasure Princess loves it and she does that whole little heart thing. When you like our video, share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business associates, the entirety of your social network, so that we can grow the channel. And then finally, if you're not already a subscriber, this would be the ideal time to subscribe. And once you see that notifications bell, click on the notifications bell, and that way every time we start a live stream, you'll be informed immediately, and as a result, you'll be in the know. And there is nothing better in life than being in the know. I do want to take care of some other business real quick. Number one, for those of you who are not aware, we've been struck by a pandemic referred to as the coronavirus pandemic. And there's nothing, of course, better than being informed and having the facts at hand as you're dealing with this pandemic. And we all are dealing with a pandemic. So a couple of things that you should do and you should be aware of. Let's do some screen share here. Is first of all, Shelley and I have another channel. It's called COVID Conversations. And every Monday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we host Dr. Coffee Brown. And I promised Shelley I wouldn't make another comment about Dr. Brown's name. Dr. Brown is a retired doctor of emergency medicine systems. He currently works as a professor at the University of New Mexico Medical Center. And he's really smart about these things. He also answers all your questions. We usually get questions via email at covidconversations@gmail.com. If you have a question, you can send one there, or you can text that question to 202-815-1171, keep you up to date. He answers all of them, no matter how crazy they sound at first. In addition to that, we've collected a lot of information, a lot of facts and information at covidconversations.tumblr.com. I'm going to post that in the chat room so that you have it available to you. And it includes several varieties of data, I guess platforms, including the most recent one produced by Topos, T-O-P-O-S, and we also have several others. But what we tried to do with this particular page is provide you data and facts so that you can be fully aware of how we're progressing through the pandemic. I have a sense we're going to survive it. There are some that are not, and hopefully those that don't are none of us, or none that are close to us. But we have a good chance of coming out of this in the near term. Now, near term is relative. Some people think near term is the end of the month. I don't happen to agree with them. I think it'll be election time by the time we get through this and we're comfortably back to whatever the new normal is, and election time will be the ideal time for us to get past this. So, and then finally, I wanted to make sure, oops, let me post that. Sorry, didn't actually put it. So that's at covidconversations.tumblr.com. And then finally, I would like you to make sure that sometime before the end of the month, you take a moment to fill out the Fenn Treasure Searcher Survey. We have 114 responses. Last year, we had over 300. So I'm hoping that you will add your name. Well, you don't actually have to add your name. It is a completely anonymous survey. And I'm going to put the link to the survey in the description box below. So just give me a chance. Sure like you to take that, please. So it's bit.ly/agk2020 survey. And when you use bit.ly, you have to match the capitalization, all right? So there, that's all we need to do when it comes to housekeeping. So again, thank you for joining me tonight. It's kind of open night. I don't have any text messages as of yet, but eventually if we get some text messages, we'll read those. I don't have any emails. I didn't get any of those since our show last night, and I'm okay with that. We'll mostly play some jazz music, and then we'll open up the phone lines and take some calls, all right? Let's get through our first jazz piece here. It's called Miles Beyond by Quincas Moriera. So I feel like that's how jazz is supposed to sound when you walk into what used to be one of those smoky bars and up on what was it, Market Street in San Francisco, up there in the high area. Um, that's what reminds me that reminds me of the music that they played back then. Uh, back then, I say back then, it was 10 years ago. Well, I kept going back. And there was this wonderful little bookstore there. Let me see if I can remember the north side, north something. Great little bookstore, coffee, played jazz on Friday and Saturday nights, and then you could go out to any of the bars. So let me share with you this new Topos COVID-19 project. It's the latest data set relating to the pandemic. And I know you guys don't necessarily want to talk about the pandemic tonight because we're all going through it, and I'm sure we all have our opinions on the matter. And we're all staying home, which is why I decided to do this on a Saturday night anyway. But this particular one intrigued me because it was very different from the others that I'd seen thus far because it's multidimensional. It's if you thought of it as a spreadsheet, it would be at least 2 dimensions in shape. And I'm going to kind of zoom in on my territory here. So this is Bernalillo County right there, and it indicates the total number of cases 407. And so I can take a look at it from a number of perspectives. This is the single dimension, right? Cases per capita, and I'll go back down to Bernalillo per capita count per 100,000, 18.43. So we're actually very low, etc. But here's what's really cool. So let's go back to the total number of cases and then associate it with demographic data. So you've got a second drop down here, which is effectively that second dimension. And you can look at various demographics, including the population, 0 to 64, 65 to 79, age 80, total population, population density, American Indian and Alaskan population. So our Native American population is taking a hit. This area that you see over here, San Juan County, New Mexico, and McKinley County is where the Navajo Nation is. So you can see that if you wanted to do any research into that area, you could do it using this map. But it also you can also take a look at it by household information, the household size, the income, median household income, and so what's really cool about it is that you have this multidimensional effect. Not that any of you, I suppose, are planning to do any research in this area, but it's helpful for us as we address some of the questions that we get on our shows Monday night, because everybody wants to know how it's going to affect them very specifically in their county. And it is divided by counties in the United States, so you could go to your county and get that information. And you can see primarily where it's at. It's along what I'd call the northeastern corridor, the southwestern corridor here along the Pacific. That area right there represents the New Orleans area, and Florida, which had a high number of cases because they didn't get around to closing things down until very late in the process. So just another one that provides you a great deal of data, and I'm a big fan of data, and provide you the facts, so you know what you can do. I did get out today for a long bike ride along the Northern Bosque Trail, which is a dirt trail, and literally I was the only person on that trail other than one other person who was horseback. She was on horseback, and we passed each other with no more than a wave. Usually there's stop and conversation, nice horse, etc. But nobody's doing that. So, but it was a beautiful day for a ride. I couldn't help it. And then finished the day with some yard work, getting down to that time where the yard has to be perfected. So, but a nice day. Let's play another little jazz piece, and then we'll get to the phones, I think. This is called This Is a Jazz Space by Midnight North. So I did get a text message from Candy, and she says, "Hey, Toby, I recently..." Whoops, I'm going to put myself back on the screen here, huh? Pow. There we go. Candy says, "I recently figured out that the thrill of the chase is 85% chapters that mirror The Catcher in the Rye. Have you read Catcher in the Rye? Have you noticed the striking similarities between Holden and Forrest?" So the last time I read Catcher in the Rye was in an English 201 course at the University of New Mexico back in 1967. I recently listened to the audio version of it, but it intrigued me enough so that I went looking for a pristine version of the Catcher in the Rye first edition. And I found one on Abe Books. So it was a first edition. It wasn't signed, and that's not unusual for Salinger. He didn't sign a lot of his books, but as you can see, it literally is unopened. So I'm going to read that before I go to sleep each night for the next several days, and I'll tell you what I think of it afterwards. But after listening to the audio, I actually recommended that everybody go listen to that audio version that you can find on YouTube. Sassy was in the room that night and posted a link to that audio, to the audio book, to the audio version. And I thought that was interesting. So I think what I'll probably do is listen to the audio version and read the book simultaneously and see what I can pull out of that. Is MTP in here? There she is. Hi, MTP. What are you up to? Nice to see you in the room with you and your big blue wrench. What's up with all the helicopter references? Hal in Florida. Hal, you're going to have to give me some more context. I don't know if you're talking about the thrill of the chase, or just give me an idea as to the context, because I'm not sure. Ken in Oklahoma, just a few more details on Amelia Earhart. She did stay at a dude ranch in the Wyoming and left a leather jacket that the Cody Museum has. Well, that period was in the wrong place. That the Cody Museum has. Also, there is a brown mountain near the proposed cabin site, so possible home of Brown. Cabin never completed after she went missing. One more possible one of the theories of her death was that she died marooned on Gardner Island, not the Captain Kidd Island, but maybe a clue. You know, they've been back to that island several times. looking for any sign that she was there, and they can't seem to prove it. But it's certainly an interesting theory. Although I don't remember, was it Gardner Island, or was she heading for Gardner Island? I'll have to look that up. There's a great who is it? Scientific American. The Scientific American channel has a great 2-hour special on Amelia Earhart, looking for Amelia Earhart. There we have a super chat from Colorado. Please go to 3D's website and donate so he can continue to make face shields for healthcare workers. I guess I didn't mention that last night. So let's go over and visit that so you can see what he's done. We made our donation last week. So this is our friend 3D Bronze, and he's a master of the 3D printing art. And at his website at 3dbronze.com, there's a lot of things. We're going to be giving some away, the Running Men things. But he has a special project on. If you donate $25 to his special project, he'll be able to produce 15 face shields for healthcare workers donated in your name. I made my donation to, I hope you got the word that I made my donation to the hospital that Sarah Rocks works for in Pagosa Springs. Sarah, did you ever get those? Just keep in mind that any $25 you donate, he's going to take that $25 and turn it into 15 face shields for healthcare workers. So, Colorado, thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, let's see. Sassy. Okay, so that link that Sassy just put in the room is the link to Catcher, the Audible version. It's not Audible, but it's somebody reading the Catcher in the Rye. Hi, Toby. I recently figured... second question also from Candy. Did you ever figure out why Fenn tells us to stay at home and play canasta? I think what he says is you might as... If you don't know where warm waters halt, you may as well stay at home and play canasta. I don't think it is a direction, meaning stay at home and play canasta. This would be a good time to stay at home and play canasta if you knew how to play a canasta, but you'd have to be a fan of canasta. I've never actually played the game. So for me, it would be stay at home and play, well, I guess you can't play poker by yourself. Oh, I could play online poker. So that's the equivalent. If you don't know where warm waters halt, don't waste your time. It's advised. If you don't know where warm waters halt, stay home. Don't waste your time, money, and effort going out boots on the ground if you're just guessing at this stuff. So, Sarah Rock says, Gypsy's Kiss, they are being shipped this week. We are so excited. Still do not have any, and they started a screening rent. That could be a tent, I'll bet, outside the hospital. Thank you so much for your donation. You're welcome. I'm glad that it could. I'm glad that they're getting there. I'm excited to hear that. So, yeah, so that's good. It's connected to, as Candy says, it's connected to Catcher. Holden asks his friend to play canasta after Stradlater punched him in the face. Well, there's nothing quite like a theory to feel like you've been going out in boots on the ground and implementing your theory to feel like you've been punched in the face. So maybe there is a connection there. That's pretty much how you're going to feel after your first boots on the ground. Ersatz Bassa by John Delaney and the 41 Players. That's an interesting. Oh, whoa, that was intro music. I guess we'll have to borrow that for the next time. Let's go to Life is Sweet. Let's see, is it a reasonable... Life is Sweet by Silent Party. So Hal in Florida says helicopters are mentioned throughout all of the books. Skippy's home made, the one that rescued him, etc. There seems to be a pattern, and I'm wondering if there's something to it or it's a rabbit hole. I don't think necessarily it's a rabbit hole, but I don't think there's anything to it. I mean, he did train as a helicopter pilot, so he flew them. So it's comfortable territory for him. For him, it's like talking about airplanes. Helicopters might also be a topic for Shelley's Words vlog. Jim says Amelia was headed for Howland Island. That's right. Jim in Connecticut says that. But I was trying to remember where they did the search for her, the remains of the aircraft, and they did a pretty significant search. They really had invested some money in the search team and their equipment. So Amelia, home of Brown, huh? Well, I don't know. That's another one of those that sounds like a little bit of a stretch to me. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to call the MTP, see what she's doing. Ta-ta, easy.
Hello.
What's wrong with Brussels sprouts?
I don't like them.
which is why I stopped making them for our dinner. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. Did you get finished with your Intel video?
I made the video, but I couldn't access all of the trainings because everybody's trying to access them all at once.
Oh.
And it's not letting me on. So that's kind of a pain. But,
well, that's too bad. After all that work you put into the the video's done, so.
And I've been researching my 4 Spin Important Words video for
somebody
this week.
suggests helicopters? You think there's
helicopters isn't in the poem. I'm doing the poem.
All right, okay. Then forgive me.
So the warm one will come out to the public on Monday, and then I'm going to create one this week on the word hint.
Oh, nice. So I didn't think there was a lot there. Is there
some interesting stuff. Yeah.
Is there a show in hint?
Oh yeah.
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 Capro says at Gypsy's Kiss, I ate Brussels sprouts tonight. It's her fave.
Well, that's good. People should eat vegetables, and I encourage everybody to eat vegetables.
Yeah.
I personally would rather eat broccoli than Brussels sprouts. And I know you're the opposite.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? The reason I don't like Brussels sprouts is because it was one of those dishes that my mother made regularly when we were growing up, and I think I just
Brussels sprouts or broccoli?
Broccoli. Did I say Brussels sprouts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I meant broccoli. So after years and years of having to eat them, not that she forced us, we didn't have to eat anything. I mean, it wasn't like she required us. But after years and years, I just had enough of them. And then they were a regular, the 3 most commonly served vegetables in the military as you go through the mess line are corn, peas and carrots, and broccoli. So then it all, it was just the military followed up with just serving me lots of broccoli. And then one time when I was at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, one of the Chinese linguists, invited me and several others to his family's vacation home on Cape Cod.
Nice.
And so we went, and that's where I learned 2 things. I learned about Brussels sprouts because prior to that, I had never had Brussels sprouts, and I was in my early 20s at that point. And then the other thing that I learned how to make was that Cape Cod salad, that one that I make with tomato. You can't eat it because you don't like onions, tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers in that vinegar, sugar, pepper combination. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned that, and they call it a Cape Cod salad.
Yeah, my mom never served Brussels sprouts either. She grew up with some German foods, and I don't think she was a fan of any kind of cooked cabbage either. So, yeah, we didn't eat those at home. So that was not something I ever ate.
Is sauerbraten cooked, that purple cooked cabbage?
Yeah, there's a lot of sauerkrauts.
Yeah.
Sauerbraten is just sauerkraut with like sausages cut up in it.
Yeah,
It's a dish.
I had it several times. One of the times I was in Germany. So, well, I'm glad to hear you guys are doing okay. That you did get your video out. I did buy some of those video products that I told you about. I haven't had a chance to even download them or look at them, but there's some use to which they could be put.
Cool.
So
cool.
Anyway.
So yeah, let's. We got to figure out if we're pivoting to a new avatar.
I don't necessarily think so. I think they could be useful on the SLI side of the house. I don't think it's a pivot. I think it's taking advantage of our core competencies and leveraging those to help grow SLI. So I don't feel like it's a pivot.
Well, I just meant who our avatar is, who our ideal client is.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Because until we know that, we can't really market too well.
Yeah. No, I feel like the pivot that we made this week was probably where we should be. No.
Which is, who is our target audience?
Well, so I felt like we made a pivot from sales managers to small business owners.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, well, I haven't got any further than that.
Mm-hmm.
You can let me think about it for a while, and I may come up with something. But as of right now, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we kind of need to go back over that particular set of questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
That's the pivot I was talking about.
All right. Well,
so I see my name is on the screen.
Why is your name on the screen? Oh, it is. I know. I feel like you're always here in spirit, even though you're not here necessarily in. I can zoom you in. You want to zoom in?
Well, I'm here by phone. Nah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I'm going to finish my salad and keep trying to get online with that course.
All right.
That training.
All right. Well, thanks for
I'm
taking.
Sure you'll get lots of fun calls.
I'm sure. Thanks for taking my call tonight.
Of course.
And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, I'm sure. Oh,
okay.
Let Kevin know. Yeah. Let Kevin know that I managed to install the solenoid.
Okay, great. Yeah. And tell everybody Happy Easter.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Happy Easter, everyone.
See all your little kids tomorrow, your grandkids, and see all their Easter stuff.
Hopefully by Skype, Zoom, or Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
That'll be fun.
All right. I will talk to you tomorrow. You have a good evening.
You too.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
That's my partner, business partner. She's my best friend and partner. I guess it's the best way to describe her. We talk a lot on the phone. Now we Zoom, we FaceTime. We talk a lot because we're always talking about ideas, and so it's always fun with her because she's got a million ideas a minute. One more. Ken in Oklahoma. She never made Howland Island. That was destined for refueling. Gardner Island was part of the TV show you mentioned. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I realized she never made Howland. And the concern was, apparently, as they told this story, was that the guy that had decided to go along with her as her navigator was a bit of an alcoholic and took some blame for getting her lost as they were headed from wherever in the Pacific they were headed towards Howland Island. You know, I don't remember his name. Fred something or other. He had one of those 1930s names. That's the only thing I remember. All right, I think what we should do now is play another song. This one called Electro Samba. Again by Quincas Moriera. In the meantime, I've opened up the phone lines, 202-815-1171. So not only can you text, but now you can call. So to the person that just wrote and asked about zooming in, you have to make a decision at the beginning of the show where you're going to start in Zoom or start in OBS. Once you've made that decision, you can't back out of it without having to stop the show, go reconfigure, and then come back of it. So there's no zooming in tonight, I'm afraid. So 918, do me a favor and send me your name and the state from which you are texting. Asks, would you consider the song used in the Thomas Crown Affair, Sinnerman? I think it's by Nina Simone. It is by Nina Simone, but I can't play copyrighted music on my show. Otherwise, we lose monetization, and I don't like losing monetization. So that's why we don't play. The music that you're hearing tonight is directly from the approved list of YouTube music in their audio library. That's why we use it, because we can use it without fear of being demonetized. Unfortunately, if I play anything copyrighted, it'll demonetize the YouTube. It's our friend John Wayne Bobbitt. John Wayne Bobbitt, how are you doing? Are you back from your Wyoming trip? Headed out to Wyoming? Found the treasure? Found a home? What's up, brother? Tell me all about it.
I'm back at home in Vegas.
You know what you're going to have to do?
Plan on taking a trip out to New Mexico and look around.
New Mexico? How did you get from Colorado to Wyoming to New Mexico? Did you turn your computer off?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you're planning to take a trip from Las Vegas to New Mexico to look around for Fenn's treasure?
Yes. Well, yeah, my friend. Well, I'm going to go down to my friend's house in Arizona. We're going to go up to the White Mountains and do some mountain fishing. The White Mountains in Arizona.
Oh, in Arizona, yeah. And you're going to be close to New Mexico.
I look around Arizona. Yeah, we look around New Mexico. You know. Yeah, because I'm kind of confused. I thought I had a good solve like everybody else, and now I'm like, searching other areas. Coming up with some other ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if I do find it, you'll be the first one to know.
Thank you. That would be very thoughtful of you. That way we can make the news for you. Where in New Mexico are you planning? Where in New Mexico are you planning to visit?
Go to your house and show you what I got.
You mean in terms of a theory?
Yeah, just show you what I got on, the Google Earth and stuff that I have.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, yeah.
Well, let me know when you're headed.
You'd be interested in seeing what I have.
Well, I'm always interested in seeing what people have. It's just that I don't want you to be.
I'm not saying I know where it is. I just, I have a feeling it might be close. Yeah. I don't know, like everybody else. I mean,
Yeah.
Even if I did find it, I didn't want. I probably wouldn't want people to know what state I'm down in. You know,
I think you could probably.
I didn't want. I didn't.
I think so. I think
Why would it?
there are two things that you can do when you find the treasure. Number one, let the community know that it's been found. And then,
Yep, I found it where Fenn hit it. Yeah.
right, where Fenn hit it. And then I think it would be
That can
okay.
specific.
I think it would be okay to mention the state. And the reason is it's not going to be, nobody's going to, if you mention the location, I think you have a lot of problems. But what happens when you mention the state is you've eliminated based on just kind of simple deduction. It's not exactly this accurate, but you've eliminated 75% of the people that are going to bug you about it.
Right. Well, say that I'm you and I'm walking around and
Yeah.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
And then I see the blaze.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow. Oh my God.
Wait, no. You said you were
This
me.
is amazing.
I wouldn't do any of
I'm
that.
saying, I'm speaking if that was you looking for it.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't
So
do.
if I'm you looking for it, and you ran into the location in the blaze,
Yeah.
and you actually seen where and you found it.
Yeah.
Then they'd be like, wow, this is a special place. Why would I announce, to the whole world where it is?
No,
and
no.
It wouldn't be a special place anymore.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, wow, and you probably would share it to the, with people closest to you, Not to, and then it'll get out, and then everybody will know where it is.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
place is. I'm thinking maybe this place is very valuable. It's historic. It's more than just a work of art or a painting or something that he's had in his art gallery.
So I
My
suppose
colleague thinks it's something's
I
12
suppose
by
the
12
obvious question is if
thing.
it's that important of historical importance, considering that he has an interest in anthropology, archaeology, history, etc., etc. Why hasn't he ever mentioned it?
Because him and his dad they probably discovered it, and they only know where it's at.
Yeah.
It's probably because it's something you can probably walk by and not notice it. But if you take a step back and look at the big picture, you'd be like, wow, how did this get here?
So if it's that special, how do you explain that people have been lots of people have been within 500 feet? How special could a place be if lots of people have been within 500 feet?
Because they probably haven't seen it. They either walked by it and didn't see it, didn't notice it, because they were looking in the wrong perspective.
Yeah.
They're looking for something small, not nothing large. So if this thing's about 100 feet by 100 feet,
the special place.
How are you going to see it if you're not looking for something like as large as that?
Mm-hmm.
If it's like my colleague, he's looking for something 12 inches by 12 inches, like a white rock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing like, the end is ever drawing. No, I mean, what if it is a huge drawing? And you got to look to the north.
Why to the north?
Well, you said that. You said that it's been wise, the three wise men, and look to the north.
I did not say that. That is not.
There's ever trying nigh, I mean, we'll turn nigh up. It's close, but up on the left.
Yeah.
Look to the north, but also take a step back and look at the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that, you'll see the blaze. But you can see it if you're just not looking for something huge.
So in the past 2 weeks,
walk by it and say, "What?"
In the past 2
You know
weeks, in the past 2 weeks, you've gone from Colorado to Wyoming to New Mexico. Is this New Mexico thing just a little?
You're a smart guy, so I mean, I'm just trying to confuse the community.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I was going to say this.
I don't want, I know if I do know where it is, and I have an opportunity when the weather gets nice and this COVID-19 gets blows by, then I'll go to where I think it's at. And if I do find it, you'll be the first one to know. You'll get it. You and Shelly will be the first one to know.
Well, good. We'd like that.
Because it's me finding it, and people will be knocking down my doors down my door, and my phone will be blowing up and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, but
Media will be everywhere.
you're
Hey, let Toby handle it.
no.
Toby's handling all that.
You've always liked being in the spotlight. That's kind of your.
But you and Shelly would be great representatives to anybody who retrieves the treasure chest. You can handle all kinds of it, and you can probably make a lot of money just grow the channel, and I mean, if it's found, then why not? Why can't you represent somebody that actually found it?
I don't.
Because,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but the treasure it will continue.
What do you mean? What do you mean it will continue? What does that mean?
You and Shelly. Because if somebody finds it, then and they hire you as representatives to monetize and ask questions and format the whole thing, because there'll be a lot to format when it comes to handling everything that's going to be going around with the treasure chest. There's going to be a lot of interest in people that want to do interviews and do a mock treasure hunt and and write a book, do a movie, all that stuff.
So you think there's money to be made there?
Oh yeah, certainly, and a lot of money to be made.
So I don't think I've ever asked you this. I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What is it that you, if you do, when you find the treasure, what do you plan to do with it?
Get with some people that know what they're doing, so that we can figure this all out.
No. So
hire somebody.
So
hire somebody to represent me, like you and Shelly.
Hang on. So
there's nobody that I know in the whole community that can handle, be as professional as handling, monetizing, and handling all the media and the press and everything else. As you and Shelly as a team, you guys worked as a team for a long time.
We have.
Yeah, when you started your YouTube channel. Like 2014?
No. We started the YouTube channel 2017, but we've been working with each other since 2012.
2012. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a while. But you've, that's what I would do. I'd get with you guys if I find it and see if we can, come up with some sort of agreement.
So remind me again, Las Vegas is in Clark County. Is that right?
Yeah, Clark County. But I'm in North Las Vegas.
I was just looking at your situation there in Clark County. So Clark County has 2,144 cases. So are you behaving yourself and staying inside?
Yep. I've been hibernating.
Good.
Just I wear gloves and I wear
a mask
when I go out. And,
yeah.
I wear a mask, and I got a bunch of masks, motorcycle masks.
Yeah.
The banderos that for hikers and bikers and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know what? I have a feeling that sooner or later somebody's going to get shot walking into a bank with their mask and their gloves.
I was wearing all black. Wearing the black bandero, black gloves. Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. I didn't know you were just trying to do some personal protective stuff.
Went to the bank. So I don't know.
Bernalillo. It's just north of Albuquerque. It's north of Albuquerque. I'm not in Bernalillo County. Bernalillo, interestingly enough, is not in Bernalillo County. It's in Sandoval County.
Have you ever been to Durango?
I have. Yeah, that's up in the area around.
I suggest to all your listeners and all the treasure hunters that actually take the steam train ride up to Silverton.
That's a beautiful ride. I've never taken it. I've driven the route because I've been to Durango a couple of times. I went up to Mesa Verde, is up in that area.
Well, tell you what, if I do find a treasure chest, I'll take you on that train tonight, you and Shelly.
No. If you find the treasure chest, we're gonna buy me into the next World Series of Poker. World Series.
We'll be able to do more than that.
Oh yeah, but we don't want to spend it all. We just want to buy our way in.
Yeah, and win. Yeah.
And a good steak
so,
dinner at that, what's that Brazilian place there on the gosh.
Brazilian place.
Yeah, the Brazilian steak place. They're off of man, I'll never
Lowry's?
remember. Yeah.
Is that Lowry's? Yeah.
Yeah, the one where you can eat meat. Is that the one?
Oh.
With that Brazilian?
Well, Lowry's is a very expensive restaurant. You know, there's
No.
I think the best steak restaurant here in Vegas is Gallagher's in New York Hotel.
Yeah. Well, we'll go there then.
Yeah. Gallagher's. Yeah. We should hang around with K-Pro and Mike because they're real pro poker players.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm good, but I don't think I'm as good as they are.
Well, they're investing in. Mike's played a long time, and Christy has put a lot of time into learning the game recently. So.
Yeah. Well, K-Pro posted something on Facebook.
Shelly says that's good for me, but she's not a poker player.
Oh no.
No, she doesn't play. She doesn't gamble.
She can watch. There's a lot of people that.
Oh, yeah, she's not going to sit around and watch men play poker. We have to entertain her. She needs to be. She needs to be entertained. Don't send her shopping. You need to entertain her.
Shopping.
If you can't entertain her, buddy, you're in trouble. And entertaining is not giving her a bunch of money and sending her shopping.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about camping and fishing?
No, this is Shelley Carney. No camping and fishing.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, that sucks, man.
Well,
just waiting around to go treasure hunt.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to treasure hunt for over a month now. Are you treasure hunting?
I'm not. I'm treasure researching right from the from my desk right here, doing a lot of treasure research.
You're not leaving New Mexico.
No, I am not leaving New Mexico. No, there's no Pampas. That's it. Sassy got it's Pampas restaurant.
Yeah. What'd you say about Amelia Earhart and Brown Mountain? I missed that.
Oh, it was one of the guys that there's a guy that calls in regularly. His name is Barry, and part of his theory for the Homer Brown is based upon Amelia Earhart's cabin. Now, he's made some assumptions that are absolutely incorrect, but people followed up on it. And one of the things is there's a brown jacket, brown leather jacket that she wore at one time when she was flying. If you see all her flying pictures, she has those they look like riding boots, the old style riding boot, and they're brown. And she wears a brown leather jacket, and that's in the Cody Museum. And he claimed incorrectly that they called her Brownie, and that was her nickname. That was none of those things. But there is a photograph of her somewhere that someone referred to, and the caption on the photograph is "The Woman in Brown," referring to her. So, and of course, she has.
Her name would be Brown.
Pardon me.
Her nickname was Brown.
No, that's Brown? No. I don't. I want to make it clear. That's what he claims. I don't believe that's the case.
Oh. Well, there is three Brown Mountains in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, and I think he mentioned that as well. That nearby there was a brown mountain.
Mount Brown in Montana, Brown Mountain.
Yeah.
In Wyoming and Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a Brown Mountain in New Mexico.
My favorite place is that location in Colorado called Homer Brown Hot Springs, which I think is just serendipitous.
Really?
Yeah, it's Homer Brown.
Oh.
Homer, like who do I know named Homer? I don't know. Homer, who's the guy that cartoon? What's his name? Homer Simpson. So this is
Homer Simpson, yeah.
Yeah, if you look up Homer Brown Hot Springs, it's in south central Colorado. It's actually out there. So.
I guess there's still a lot of snow up there. A lot of places in the Rocky Mountains.
There is. It usually doesn't go away till the end of May.
In the May, yeah.
So
That sucks.
in those higher altitudes, but I'm not looking at the high altitudes anymore. I'm not looking at 9,000 feet.
What about 10,200 feet?
That's too high for me.
What about
7,400 feet.
What if it,
70? I'm sorry.
What if in theory he hit it at 10,200 feet?
Well, that's what it would be. A theory.
Or between 10,000 and 10,200 feet.
That's that's theoretically possible. Yes. My theory is they hit it within 200 feet of 7,600 feet. One way or the other. That's my theory.
And what elevation?
7,600 feet.
Oh, that's where you're at? Oh.
Yep.
Huh.
So I'm not at the Rio de los Pinos anymore.
Well, I hope we can get out and search soon.
Yeah, well, come on by. We'll take a look and we'll make a visit. And but after the end of May, because you can't get up in those search areas. There's still a lot of snow on the ground.
Well, if I do find it, I'll send a picture of you and me with it, with the newspaper.
Yeah.
And then you can say.
No. I don't want my picture in the paper. I want to maintain. I want to preserve my anonymity. I want to be completely anonymous.
You don't want to be the announcer?
No. Anonymity, my brother. That's the safest.
If I find it.
Safest
if I find it and you represent the person who finds it.
If I find it, I'm going to introduce you to people who will represent you and do it well.
Okay.
I mean, if you find it. Did I say if I find it? If you find it, I'm going to introduce you to people who will do a credible job of representing you.
Okay, cool.
Depending on what you want to do. And if all you want to do is sell it, I'll introduce you to those people too.
Okay. All right, well, we'll see.
All right, brother.
Hopefully I'll get a good solution this time in New Mexico.
Let me know when you're headed out this direction.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. You have a good night, buddy.
You too. Bye-bye. Oh, wow. We got some, let's see. Just a hint, if there are no animals or structures in the poem, how can you use it for the home of Brown? They're all rabbit holes. Sorry, keep thinking. I don't know. I don't think of the home of Brown as an animal. No winner decided to cut that go card when Main Street use of clubs. Oh, Ken in Oklahoma had a cabin in Pine Top, Arizona. You know who has a place in Pine Top is in the White Mountains, beautiful area, town of Show Low. I know the area. Ken, Oklahoma, sorry, Fat Fingers, send town if Show Low, Arizona has interesting history. Ranch owned by two friends, had a falling out, decided to put Ken. I don't know what that has to do with Forest Fence treasure. Looks like nothing. Give me something to work with, Ken. Something to work with, my brother. Maladragon by Kinkas. I like these guys. Yes, Shelley, I did remind everybody about the survey. Yeah, showed him a picture of the survey. MJ, John lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh, so let's see. Let's see what Candy has to say. What are your thoughts about the chapter looking for Lewis and Clark? And do you think might be connected? And do you think that might be connected to the poem, but in reverse? So, I guess I guess I'd answer this question the same way for everything in the book. The impression that I get of my opinion on the matter of the book is that it is filler for the treasure poem, that it was necessary to make a book. And so he took all this material that he had and he put it in the book. And honestly, he's a very good storyteller and he's a relatively good writer, but he's a great storyteller. And he put it in the book. So the only two chapters that I think have any connection to anything in the poem that are in the book are the chapter that precedes the chapter with the poem and the chapter that follows the chapter with the poem. In my opinion, the three most significant chapters in the book are those three. The others, to me, are filler. You know what? Hang on. I thought I saw. So I apologize to the person who gave me a super chat, and I didn't catch it in time. I apologize for that. So Kpro says, what is the peak in Las Vegas? I can't tell you the peak in Las Vegas. I can tell you the peak in Nevada. Nevada. They don't like calling it Nevada because that sounds too Spanish for them. Let me see when the peak in Nevada is. Peak. That's the... Oops. Okay, Pro wants to know this, so we'll share this with you guys as well. So this is the IHME COVID-19 projections website. So this is the United States of America, and it looks like today was our peak. And look at that climb right there. Woo! So today is our peak, and we're on the downhill side. Hopefully tomorrow we're on the downhill side of the curve. And that is all going to depend whether or not you guys stay home. If you don't stay home, then we're going to pop it back up again. So ignore what they're telling you to go out. And so it looks like we're going to be out of this. If we behave ourselves, we'll be out of this by June 9th. So you can't go searching the Rockies until at the end of May anyway, so it's not a big deal. Let's look at Nevada. I like the way they say it. Nevada. So Nevada's doing a real good job of behaving itself. So they've already peaked in Nevada on April 8th. It's plateaued, and they're going to be out of the thing by, let's see when it goes to zero. Pushing it May 28th. So if John Wayne was looking in Nevada for the treasure, he'd be in pretty good shape. So that means you can show up in Nevada and probably some of their stuff, some of their requirements will be lifted, which would be kind of cool. That means we could party in Nevada. I guess they must have done something real quick because you'd imagine Nevada being the tourist attraction that it is. I'm kind of surprised they didn't end up like New Orleans, you know. 24 lines. What is more important? I'm trying to help. Okay, only 4. Area code. Who is this? Let me see. Let's see. Rabbit holes. Keep thinking. Okay, only 4 hints in the book and 24 lines. What is more important? I'm trying to help. Bless your heart. The problem with trying to help another searcher is, it is my experience, they're not going to listen to you anyway. I mean, the time you should invest should be invested in working on your theory and focusing on that, because promoting your theories with other searchers is, as far as I can tell, pretty useless. And I think they all have their own thing. Captain Marvel, is any of that based on bed availability? That's what that website is about. The projections are all based on that. Captain. If you look at that, and again, what I'm doing here, Cappy, as I like to say. So, to the person who just wrote, start reading my name with these. El problema is you haven't given me your name, so I can't read it. So give me your name and I'll be happy to read it. Oh, it's Brad and Sarah. Hey, is this Brad and or Sarah?
It is Brad. How are you doing?
Hey, Brad. Very good, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Happy to hear it.
Just got done digging a grave sides hole in my backyard to try to expose my sewer line so I could see about fixing it.
Oh, I thought
Sarah and I were out there and we were both joking. You know, it looked just like a 6 foot deep, 6 foot long, 2.5 foot wide hole. It looked like we were digging a grave, so we were joking. You know, the first one of us to catch corona and die,
we can use a hole.
The grave dug. So.
Yeah, kill two birds with one stone. Fix the sewer line and get rid of one of you. How bad is it when you can make jokes about the pandemic? I think we're starting to get we're starting to get stir crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how are things in southern Colorado?
They're good. It's, of course, the town here is pretty well dead.
Yeah.
This being a tourist town.
Right.
This time of the year is typically a little slower until Memorial Day, and then all things kind of kick off here, and they don't get slowing down until February. So
yeah.
We're kind of used to it being a little slow this time of year, but typically you'll see the people that have second homes here coming in this time of year and starting to get ready for summer, but those people aren't here. But we're doing well. I mean, the restaurants and stuff here have all gone to delivery, curbside service, takeout. Those are the hardest hit sectors in this town right now are the restaurants because there's just no customers. So they're relying completely on the locals. A few of the other businesses like mine and Sarah's, they've stayed open, and we're grateful for the opportunity to still get a paycheck during this time.
Yeah.
We're dealing with it. We're managing.
So the restaurants delivering?
There are some that are delivering, and they're doing everything they can to make sure everything's going good. The county paid for several of the restaurants to give out free lunches this last week, and that was nice. So a lot of the locals got to eat free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We're all managing.
Yeah. So one of the restaurants, one of my favorites in the area is the Indigo Crow in Corrales, and they announced on the Facebook page, they announced Easter dinner prime rib, and they showed a picture of the prime rib being prepared and seasoned, not actually in the oven. And I thought, are they actually having people in? Because they've always seemed like a real rational group. And then I realized what they're doing is they're taking orders and doing a drive-by. So you can order their Easter dinner, and you can set a time to pick it up. And I think that's a really good idea. And as a matter of fact, I'm considering doing it, although I'd be eating alone. It would be worth it just to have something other than a TV dinner, a packaged dinner, which is what I've been doing recently. And it supports them. And they've got a great chef. Their chef is amazing in terms of the dishes that he prepares. He does an outstanding job. So I'm sure it's going to be worth it.
So I wanted to pass something by you.
Go ahead.
I've been working on a new theory, and I think this will be right up your alley.
Okay.
You know how you were talking about the Josh Gates show,
Expeditions Unknown.
And the solve that they had for the secret, the Boston solve. So follow me, if you will, for just a second.
I'm making notes. Go ahead.
Let's assume that the stanza begin at war, warm waters halt, take it in canyon down. Let's assume those are instructions and directions to get you to a point. Much like that where in The Secret, where they were standing in the one spot, and the guy was showing Josh Gates one clue based on that poem that was in that one. And then they looked to the right, and there was another clue, and then they looked to the right, and there was another clue. So if you follow the poem, right after put in below the home of Brown, there's the statement, it says, from there. So if that point, when you put in below the home of Brown, is the same kind of situation as The Secret, where you are standing in a spot, from there, you can see it's no place for the meek. You can see the end is ever drawing nigh. You can see there's no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. You can see all of these things, and at some point between there and where you began is a blaze. But I'm thinking that where it says from there, from that point, from that spot where you're standing, you can see those things. And maybe that's why so many people have figured out the first few clues and walked right past the others. Maybe they weren't looking for the next clue. They were supposed to be standing there looking
at the other
around
clues.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So that's something I've been working on.
Oh, well, and I'm happy to hear that, because I think there's something there. As a matter of fact, Shelley, I had a copy for Shelley, and when they were by yesterday to help me with the sprinkler system, she picked it up and took it with her. But do you have a copy of The Secret?
I do not.
I'm going to strongly suggest getting it, or at least finding someplace on the internet where somebody has posted each of the not phrases. What do they call them? Each of the verses, the sets of verses. So there's 12 sets of verses that give you no indication. There's 12 images, 12 sets of verses. There's a bunch of stories up front that honestly don't make any sense to me, but I'm sure they do to other people. But what you have to do is match up the verse, the image, and the city. Right. And they gave you enough detail about the verse for the one in the Boston solve that it was easy to find. I found the verse, and what I discovered is they edited it. For example, the big deal that Josh Gates wants to make about the statue of Columbus, who he claims the face resembles the woman associated with the Boston painting. It really doesn't. And what the conversation you need to have is with the guy that found it, because by the time Josh Gates and Expeditions Unknown got it, it's like, did you ever see the episode with Expeditions Unknown where they did the Forrest Fenn treasure?
I have not seen that one yet.
There is one. It's not any searcher who looks at it would laugh, right? You'd go like, oh, are you kidding me? That's not how that works. Anyway, he did the same thing with that one, right? He read into the poem, and then they pulled out the production value from that, and they'd say, we're not going to look for a Homer Brown. We're going to ask you what you think of home, and then we're going to go look by a pretty river, and there's a horseshoe, and you're going to find this. So it was very productized, I guess productionized is the right word for it, but they made it a production. And for those of us that have spent time in the film, the television, the documentary making industry, we could see that, right? When you make a documentary, you don't have that kind of luxury, but when you're making entertainment, you have that kind of luxury. So what I'd like to do, because I do believe there's something there, connections that could be made. When I get the book back from Shelley, I will copy the verse associated with the Boston thing and look at it from there. So that's number one. Number two, there was a point in time where I was treating the poem like you would any other treasure map. And in a treasure map, they'd always give you three things once you were at the starting point. They would give you a direction, a distance, and the object that would be found at the end of that direction and distance.
Right.
And the only problem with that is that there were you'd only have three places to go, right? If you interpreted each of the clues with direction, each line, 9 lines, that's only 3 steps to find the treasure, right? And so it didn't quite work out. So the second thing that I started looking at was, am I, and this is kind of the point that you were making, and the Boston verse kind of supports that, where you're standing in one place and to the left of you is Paul Revere's house. To the right of you is, I can't remember the 5 steps. And then in front of you was the lighted big green thing, whatever he described it. And he was standing at the intersection of those 3 points.
Right.
And when he was there, he could see the park where the home plate was. And so I think that's a real interesting angle.
Now, you had done a video a couple years ago
Yeah.
about the connection between the poem and the way it's written, and the way Another Story was in the Russell Osborne book. And that one, the way that's described, and if I remember that video correctly, it was more of a linear thing. You go to this point, and from there, you strike a trail to the right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
On the oak tree. And,
Yeah.
And that's kind of linear, but using that same kind of depiction in this poem, if you look at the way that poem is written, it says from right there, right where you're standing, below the home of Brown, it's all of these other things.
Right.
Now, it's not saying go to these places.
It's just saying, yeah.
It's no place for the meek. You have to go to no place for the meek. It's not saying go to the end is drawing nigh. It's saying, the way I'm reading it, is these things are there, from there. So I'm thinking there's something there. My problem is I still don't know where to start, because all of my other theories from begin at where warm waters halt have turned cold.
I think that's. I mean, let's face it. That's everybody's challenge, right? It's there's in my opinion, if you can figure out the line of the poem, the set of physical representations of begin at where warm waters halt, canyon down, and home of Brown, if you can get those 3, then you're within a stone's throw of that treasure. And I think.
I agree.
And I think that once you do that, you could look in any direction as you suggest, and what it does is it certifies that you're at the right home of Brown, that you've done begin at where warm waters halt. He makes an interesting. We reviewed the video interview that he did with Jennifer London, that's on Terry Fenn's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And in there, Jennifer London asks him. She goes out with 2 guys, both of whom he knows. J.D. Noble, the hat guy, the guy that sells hats, right around the corner from Collected Works, and Mark, is it Johnson? The gold guy, the gold jeweler. And they were both friends of Fenn, right? And they were both searching for the treasure, and one of them took them to a place up Taos Canyon where the Brown family resided, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of...
Taking that ride up there.
Right, but at some point she says to him, well, couldn't you just tell me where, and I don't remember her exact words. She says to him, couldn't you just tell me where the home of Brown is? And he responds by saying, if I told you that, you'd go straight to the treasure.
Right.
So the question at that point is, well, what the hell about the other clues, right? What, you know, why am I worried about all these other clues if when I'm at the home of Brown, I can just walk towards the treasure? So, and that's where, as a matter of fact, I think it was Shelley that brought it up with our, this all happened in the member vault. And I think she kind of came to that conclusion, like maybe you're standing in a location and the other clues are certifications that you should be able to see all of this stuff, you know?
Right.
So,
And I've heard people mention that the blaze would be where the home, below the home of Brown. And that's possible, but I think it's not. I don't think it's right there below the home of Brown. I think you'll be able to discern the blaze from the home of Brown,
right.
if that's the spot where you're standing and you're looking and you get all these other confirmers that you're in the right spot.
Right.
I still, and I have for probably 3 or 4 years now, believed, as you have brought up, that it is some kind of a visual, either a solar event or a lunar event or something that will point exactly to a specific point where the treasure's at.
Right.
That's my blaze, is some kind of a solar event, a shadow or a ray of light or something, and you have to be in that spot at a specific time, probably within a 7 to 10 day period to see it.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, you can still be there and never know it's there.
Well, I think it's certainly worth the research, because I think that, to me, that kind of theory is as rational as anything else I've heard. Right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't involve, it involves the ability to locate by eyesight landmarks.
Right.
Right? It doesn't require you understanding compass directions or GPS locations. It simply means standing in the right spot at the right time, not necessarily the right time, but at the right spot, and being able to connect visually with all these other objects.
Yeah. Well, all right. I know I'm probably past my 10 minutes.
You know what? You can have as much time as you want. That's how I am. All right. I will ask Shelley to send me that one verse from Boston. I'll forward that to you.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Take a look at it, and take a look at it, and then watch that program one more time, so that you can see how the production company, the Expeditions Unknown production company, kind of suited it to their own. It's not as dramatic unless you have a producer in the production company saying, but yeah, if we do this, and that's what happens. And it's obvious after you read, because they never actually show the entire verse in the program. It wasn't until I got the book that I realized.
That was one thing that always irritated me when I was watching that, is they would show little pieces of it. And I'm like, what's the rest of it?
Yeah, no. The first one, you can count on the first one the names engraved in the marble on the face of the main public library in Boston. That is the starting point. But the navigation to that park where the home plate is very different from how it's described in the Expeditions Unknown episode.
But I'll look forward to that and see if I can glean anything from that.
Just take a look at it, because this book was published. The Secret was published years before Fenn took an interest in this whole concept of gathering a treasure and hiding it.
1986, wasn't it?
I think it was either 84 or 86.
Okay.
So
yeah, he had every opportunity to to read that and get some ideas from it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So Capro says, we know the people on that show, it was very scripted. Yeah, oh, it's definitely, I mean, that's how those shows work, having done that for a long while. Let's see. Yeah, Sassy says, if you ever actually worked on The Secret, you know what a big pack of the Spanish word for poop that show was. I agree. I agree. It was very well produced. It was ideally produced in the same way that when they when Expeditions Unknown looked at the Fenn treasure, it was very highly produced as well. Didn't tell you anything, didn't give you a sense that's what you wanted to do, but it got a lot of people interested. There was a big jump in searchers after that show. So,
you know, a few years ago when documentaries first started coming about, and they were like real life documentaries that came on Discovery Channel and History Channel and whatnot, they were, to me, and that's just my personality, to me those were super interesting. Those were, this is real life. You're getting to see what's going on, the good, the bad, the boring.
Right, yeah.
The stuff they've got on now is so dramatic.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And Josh Gates kind of falls into that. It's kind of a documentary, but it's filled with fluff and it's filled with drama, and it's interesting. And I've watched several of those episodes, but it's just, come on, let's get to the meat of it. And let's eat some meat. Let's quit eating all the fluff.
The program that I'm enjoying right now is called Secrets, and it's on the Smithsonian Channel, I think, and it's very well produced in a realistic way. And the guy is actually an archaeologist. So take a look at that.
Called again?
Secrets.
Okay.
Hang on, let me look at my.
I'll have to check that one out.
Let me look at my YouTube DB thing. Just give me a second. What would I do without YouTube? Gives me everything I need in life. Search. Let's see. Secrets Unlocked.
Okay.
And it's on Smithsonian Channel. And it has, let me just give you an example, the Holy Grail, Plagues of Egypt, Spear of Destiny, King Solomon's Mine, the Shroud of Turin, the Copper Scroll, the Ark of the Covenant, Shrunken Heads, Jonah and the Whale. Oh, Jonah and the Whale. I should share that with that lady that was asking me about my name. Who was, that was on the movie. So take a look at it. Secrets Unlocked.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a plan.
And then I'll get that verse for you and send it to you.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
I will talk to you later.
Toby, you have a great weekend and a fantastic Resurrection Sunday.
Thank you.
And tell your family hi and wish them well and be blessed.
Yeah, we're going to Zoom in, all of us, tomorrow afternoon. So
good.
See the new baby. See the new Palmer Ray. She's getting adorable.
That's great.
So, all right, give Sarah a hug for me.
Will do.
We'll see you guys as soon as we can get up in that direction. We still have a treasure to hide, so.
Yes, we do.
All right. You have a good evening.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I didn't realize this. The Secrets Unlocked has an episode. It's been released, and it's called Jonah and the Whale. And the reason that's interesting to me is I was teaching at American University in Beirut back in before the Civil War, the summers of 77 and 78. All my students were Arabic. And of course, they recognized my last name, Younis, is an Arabic last name. But I didn't know. I told you my parents always told me that I was 3/4 Spanish, and 1/4 Arabic, and the Arabic was my last name, but they never talked about it. I didn't know much about it until I was in Beirut. And my students used to invite me over for dinner. We'd have these long and healthy conversations, and there were several other Younis in the room. And you know what, Rio Grande, I will call you back in just a minute. I got to finish this story. I'll call you back in just a sec. And there were several, they didn't pronounce it Younis, they pronounced it Younis. And what I found out is that Jonah, so the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims all share the same Old Testament, right? They all share the same Old Testament, all the stories of the Old Testament of the Bible. And one of those stories is Jonah and the whale. In Arabic, his name is pronounced Younis. In Hebrew, it is pronounced Yonah. And in Christian literature, they write it as Jonah. And that's where this Jonah and the whale comes from. But Jonah was the father of one of the 12 tribes. Now, they claim that they're the 12 tribes of Israel, but in the Muslim version of the Bible, it's the 12 Arab tribes. And in the, well, I guess the Christians don't have the 12 tribes. Anyway, Jonah was one of these fathers, the father of one of these 12 tribes, and it's the tribe of Yonah, Younis, or Jonah. Younis, the Arabic version of that tribe, is where my name comes from, Younis. But when my grandfather came from the old country, his name was Toby Younis. And so when whatever immigration officer asked him his name and he said Toby Younis, that immigration officer wrote down Toby Younis. And that's my grandfather's name, and that's my father's name is Toby Younis, and it's my name. We are not Tobias. I wasn't a Tobias until I was baptized, and then I was baptized Tobias Michael Younis. But prior to that time, we were Toby Younis. And if you watch the Jonah and the Whale episode on the Smithsonian Channel, you'll see the story of my family. How cool is that? On my Arabic side. The Delgados go back to the conquistadores coming into New Mexico. So, all right. So I did have a couple of text messages. Ken in Oklahoma. Back to the thrill of the chase, the word that is key would seem to me that brave and tribal fit poem and map key. Well, so first of all, I noticed that in the interview that Christy and Mike did back in November, he stopped using key, and even though they asked, but all three of them. He was teasing them. He was playing with them. And it started with Mike asking about the keyword, Cynthia asking about the keyword, and finally Christy asking about it. And he thought for a moment, and he said, he didn't use the phrase keyword. He said, there is one word that is more important than some of the others. That phrase, that sentence that he used, is not the definition of keyword. So I don't think there is a key word. I don't think there ever was a key word. I think he used that phrase, key word, to mean there was one word that was more important than some of the others. And at some point he realized that because he was using that phrase for people who have any sense of ciphers or code work, he was telling them something that wasn't true. There is no keyword in the poem, because what a keyword does in the state of cipher, of cryptography, is that it unlocks the cipher. That's why they call it a key word. There is no word in the poem that unlocks the poem because there is no cipher. That's why he changed it to a word that is more important than some of the others. Hey, it's you've reached Toby on a Gypsy's Kiss. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And you need to turn down your computer. There.
Yeah, I'm going down here.
All right.
Hey, it's LR.
Hey, LR, how are you doing?
Doing great. Yourself?
I am doing excellent. Thank you for asking.
Well, happy Easter to you and all the people in the room tonight.
I'm sure they appreciate those kind words.
And I appreciate you playing the songs. That was nice of you.
I didn't realize that not only do you play a 6-string guitar, but you play a 12-string guitar as well. Do you play other stringed instruments?
Well, I took piano last year and I want to learn to play, and I gave it up because I'm too busy, but now I'm not too busy anymore.
So just based on your introduction, were you doing like one of the applications, one of the piano applications, or were you taking lessons?
No, I went to a university here in town.
Oh, and took lessons from an individual? I mean, you took a course in piano.
Yeah, I took 5 months of piano at a college.
Wow. And how do you feel about the progress that you made?
Oh, I did good. Since I already knew a lot about music, playing the guitar, it came pretty easy for me, but it still takes a lot of time to practice.
Now, do you read music before you started taking the piano lessons?
No, that's the drawback. I play by ear.
Yeah. Yeah, I can look at a song, listen to it, look at the chords, and I can work that out, but I can't read or write music per se. I can write lyrics, but
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I got a song for you real quick.
Okay.
Quick. It's a rap song about Jonah and the whale.
Did you just make this up now, or you've had this in your
I've
back
heard
pocket
this
waiting for me to bring up the story of my family name?
I just know it's something that I already knew.
And is it a lot of rap music, a lot of rap songs have words that are going to demonetize my channel? Does it have any words that it's going to demonetize?
No, it's strictly right out of the Bible. So
I think
so
you've taken the Bible and turned it into a rap song.
Right, though, just the story of Jonah and the whale.
All right. Well, you know what? Since it's the story of my family, I guess we should listen to you tell us the story of Jonah via rap. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Jonah and the whale took a journey in the deep blue sea because he refused to tell how Nineveh could repent and be free. Well, Jonah, whale. There you go.
I'm amazed that you got the word Nineveh worked in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, do you end up? Do you sing that at Bible study on Sundays?
Well, back in the day, I taught a 3-year-old Sunday school class.
Oh, okay. You got to keep them interested.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, but take care and have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you guys probably on Hump Day Hoedown.
We look forward to it. And anytime you got some new music that is related to the church, let us know. Send it to us and we'll play it for you.
You got it.
And good luck with that piano. I'm very envious of you actually, my plan, and this is probably as good a time to implement it as any, was to get one of those electronic 88-key boards and then just use one of the apps to learn it, because I've always wanted to learn piano. I figured if I could learn piano, I may not necessarily have to read music. I can still play by ear. You know what? My mother played piano and sang, and she never learned to read music. She could listen to a song, sit down at the piano, and start playing it.
Yeah. Well, my pappy always said, "Hey, son, you're never too old to learn something."
I agree. I think you can continue learning until the day you go into the great beyond.
There you go.
So, all right, sir. Well, thank you for calling in. You have a good evening and a great weekend with your family.
All right. Take care, Toby.
Take care. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He sounds like a fun guy, doesn't he? Hey, let me see. Did I miss that call? You know what I've got to do? I hung up on Rio Grande because I was telling my story, so let's give him a little time. Let's give him a little bit of time here. Just a little bit. I think we'll give him 5 minutes tonight.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, what you doing?
You got 5 minutes tonight, so make it good.
Oh, well, that's fine. I was just, listening to the listeners catching up to myself.
Yeah.
Remember I told you 2 months ago you could stand at below the home ground where you
Right.
park. And
Yeah.
you could see everything.
Oh, so you're following up on Brad's call.
Yeah, he just told you what I told you 2 months ago. When you pull in below the home ground,
Yeah.
you could see everything, water high,
So
even the blaze. But he just he surprised me today because he he said what I said a couple of months ago too.
Oh, you think he picked up on that?
Well, I don't know. Because he said it just like it's wrote down from there.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just 1 second. I have an issue in the. Just give me 1 second. I need to take care of this. All right. All right. Somebody else took care of
it. Yeah. And it might snow this week, so I don't know if I'll make it over there this coming week or not. They said Wednesday maybe snow.
Up in the mountains here in New Mexico?
Yeah, that's what the news said. Wednesday up in the high elevations. Some rain for sure and maybe turn to snow. So I don't know. Maybe have to wait till next week. But
yeah.
We're close anyway.
Hey, Pontiac, I know you're trying to call in, but I've got a phone call. I'll call you back after this one, okay? Somebody's trying to call in and interrupt their call.
Yeah, and I was listening to, I forget his name, but
Brad.
Yeah, Brad. Yeah,
Brad. Call it Brado.
And he's pretty close. He just got to put that on the map.
I don't think he's looking in New Mexico though. I don't remember exactly, but
well, wherever it fits to anybody's solve.
Yeah.
To mine, it fits perfect because you're on the side of a hill when you can see all this.
Right.
You're up above everything.
So let me see what the weather's going to be like up there in northern New Mexico.
Northern New Mexico. So we can go get that that rusty box and bring it home.
Yeah. So let's do Red River.
I was thinking he might have put a plastic around it and covered it. I don't think he just set it on the ground and just covered it up with weeds.
You know what? I was actually, that treasure that we're thinking about, but the treasure that we're hiding is in a brass box, right? So
yeah, but if you could put it in a plastic bag or something, it'll last longer.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about wrapping it in some of that postal saran wrap. I don't know what they call it. But it's like saran wrap, but it comes on I thought once we get everything in it, I think that's what I'm going to do with it.
And I think,
they get snow as early as Sunday night?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I thought. And I said, well, that kind of knocks me down a few days.
Let me look at the 10-day forecasts. So 10-day.
It should be back pretty by next weekend.
Monday, by next weekend, you are going to get some rain on Saturday, but they are going to get snow this week. You're right.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I was saying, shucks. Well, that's all right though.
Well, no, you want to be safe. You want to be safe.
Yeah, I'm going to be safe. I'm not going to go jump into it. Plus, it's not dangerous where it's at anyway.
Let me see. Sassy wants Moreno Valley. You mean by Eagle Nest, Sassy? I don't think you can do Moreno Valley. You'd have to do Eagle Nest. Let me see what they're doing there. Eagle Nest. Oh.
Yeah, you're talking about 8,000 foot around there.
Yeah.
So it probably gets some snow too. And maybe Rio de los Pinos will get some snow. Maybe.
Oh no, I guarantee you that if they're getting it there, they're getting it. So Eagle Nest, yep, snow on Monday, Tuesday, and rain on Saturday. So yeah, they're getting the same thing.
Yeah, up north.
Yeah,
it's pretty much going to be a no-no for this coming week.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about LR. I was thinking about shrink wrapping putting the plastic. It's not shrink wrap. It looks like saran wrap, but they use it for wrapping packages and things like that.
Yeah. And what's to say Fenn didn't do the same thing? He might have done the same thing. He might have wrapped it with something. That's why he said it's wet, because it's condensation.
Because it doesn't make any difference. Yeah.
Condensation gets it wet,
I agree.
hot, cold.
Yeah. Once you put something out in the forest, it's going to get wet whether it's raining or not. Simply because the laws of physics, right? The differences in temperature and nighttime temperature, daytime temperatures, et cetera, et cetera.
And when the sun comes over the canyon there and hits it for 8 hours, it gets warm, and then I mean, it doesn't hit directly at it, but
Brad is saying maybe we should wrap it in greased burlap sack. It will last a long time there. Yeah.
No. Like Pancho Villa.
Yeah, that sounds messy to me. I'm still going for the postal saran wrap. That sounds a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's not as messy.
After we find this one, we'll go get Ben Sublet's treasure.
What's Ben Sublet's treasure? What's that treasure?
That's down south of New Mexico.
Oh, is
Guadalupe Mountains. Yeah.
Oh.
Around Guadalupe Peak.
What did he hide there? Is that a lost treasure or a hidden treasure?
Well, it's like a placer mine. He'd come home with a bunch of nuggets.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's not no coins or...
So there's a contradiction in mining. Mining, generally, you're mining ore. You're not mining nuggets. You find nuggets.
You just find them in a certain spot, like in a riverbank or wherever.
Because they have to be broken down, right? That's where nuggets come from. They come from the fact that the ore has been broken down.
Right.
And because the gold nuggets are heavier, the water they settle down the water to the bottom. So
yeah. And then the biggest treasure that hadn't been found is down south. You remember in 1864, Mexico didn't have a president. They had a
premier.
It was like a kingdom, kind of.
Yeah. French influence.
He got all that Mexican money and sent it off in 15 wagons loaded north.
Yeah.
And they never made it to the shore, so they're lost too.
18 they lost 18 wagon loads.
No, 15.
Oh, 15 wagon loads. That's a lot of that's a lot of stuff to disappear off the face of the planet.
I know it, and it's never been found.
Interesting.
They made it to the Rio Grande there between Mexico and the Texas border, and that's the last time it was ever saw.
So what are the chances that they were trying to cross the river and the river washed them down and they ended up...
They hired a couple of Confederate soldiers and to guide them to the Gulf of Mexico down through Texas there.
Well, wait a minute.
Like for guards.
Excuse me. So you've got a Confederate soldiers. You could probably got a Confederate group.
It's 4 or 5 soldiers they hired.
And you don't think these 4 or 5 soldiers working for the Confederacy didn't see the potential for that funding the war against the North?
Yeah. They did the first night.
Yeah.
And they killed them all.
The Mexicans or the Confederate?
The Confederate soldiers
killed the Mexicans.
They saw what they was carrying that one night and lifted a barrel and looked.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, these guys ain't worth all this load, so let's get rid of them. But in the meanwhile, they got shot up by Indians, except for one that made it to the doctor. And he told a story to the doctor, but they never have found it. They hid it somewhere.
They being the Confederate soldiers, or they being the Indians that. So they were as the story goes, they killed the Mexicans. They headed south towards the south, I suppose, Texas, with the treasure.
Well, they're coming from the south, from Chihuahua.
Yeah, but
the capital.
Did anyone ever make it across the river with the treasure?
Yeah, they did. That's where they met the Confederates, because they're defecting down towards Mexico.
I see. Leaving. Okay.
Yeah, and he hired them to, because they knew the way.
So then the Confederates took over the load of treasure.
Right, and in the meanwhile, between the Rio Grande there in Mexico and Texas, they lost it between there and the Concho, the Concho River.
So
around Angelo.
So that's interesting. So then they were set upon by Indians, by Native Americans.
Well, after they hit it, they loaded their horses up with whatever they could.
Yeah.
Because these were 15 wagon loads with 2,000 pounds of a cart,
right?
A wagon,
right?
So they couldn't haul it all. So they loaded up, and one of them got sick and stayed behind, and the other ones went on. Well, when this guy got better, he went on and he found the rest of them.
So what's the name
where
of
the
this?
Indians had killed them?
How is this treasure referred to?
It's the Maximilian's lost gold, lost treasure. Right. If you look it up, you'll find it, and it'll tell you the story. And I say that because I'm from South Texas.
Yeah, I can tell by your accent.
I'm from down in Presidio area. Mm-hmm. Big Ben.
Maximilian was the emperor at the time.
Emperor of Mexico at the time, yeah. Him and Carlotta.
Sassy says, I've actually heard of this story before. My dad used to talk about it. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway.
Is there anything that you want to say to Brad before you go tonight?
Well, he's on the wagon. I like it.
Okay. All right.
He's got kind of the same thing I got, and it's all on a map there all together.
Yeah.
And the reason I found everything, cause, like I said, I stumbled onto the home of Brown, which she said, if you find it, well, I don't have to.
You're there. You don't have to look very hard, huh?
Well, you can backtrack and find the WWH, and then you can drive down the canyon and park below the home of Brown, and the rest of it's right there. You can see the blaze. You can see it better at night. I'll tell you that.
Okay. All right.
Remember the picture of him sitting at remember the picture in that book where he's sitting at a cemetery and he's looking up at the stars?
Yeah.
Which one is that book? Is it in The Thrill of the Chase? Because I don't have neither one of them.
Yeah, it's The Thrill of the Chase, the last couple of pages, someplace in the last.
Where he's a little boy and he's sitting on a gravestone looking up at the stars.
Yeah. Okay, with all the dead trees around him.
Yeah, well, he's looking at the blaze, and if you look straight down, your quest is to cease right there.
Okay, I agree.
So at this place I'm talking about, if you go there at night, you could see the blaze much easier, but you can see it in the daytime also.
All right, I'm going to let you go. You're at 13 minutes. You're 3 minutes and 30 seconds over schedule.
Oh, no. Okay.
So you and your family have a good weekend.
Oh, yeah. We're stuck in here like rats, but we're all right.
Well, yeah, but...
I mean, whatever it takes to live.
It's as long as you're live rats. That's what's important, okay? Stay healthy.
Right. All right. Good deal. Thank you.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so there were a couple of calls. So Pontiac, Michigan's really trying hard. Let's call Pontiac back. And Candy, if Candy wants to call in, hang on, let me read that text message so I have it right. She says, skip my question. Okay, so answer that question. Thrill the chase from a catcher. You can tell and they're going to discuss. Yeah, Candy, call in so you can make the connection between Catcher in the Rye and the infamous story of Forrest Fenn. But let me call this guy back first.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic.
Yeah, don't want to do that. Pontiac, you're going to have to call me, apparently. No caller ID. I usually don't. I don't ever take calls from no caller IDs. So let me see. So we talked to San Antonio. We talked to Holliston. Did we talk to Holliston? I don't remember. Okay, phone lines are open. I think I'm going to go. Well, let's take a vote. If you think we should go another hour, enter the number one in the comments, in your chat room comments. Meantime, while you're doing that, I'm going to, hang on, don't do anything. Never do anything radical. I'm going to go refresh my adult beverage. Put the phone on disturb here. Okay. I guess I could have left you with some music. That would have been nice, Toby. Let's see. What do we got here? Cancun. From Topper Moore and Alex Elena. Should be interesting. Let's see what that's got. Hey, Corey J., thanks for dropping in tonight. Hope you get your tasks done. Have a good evening. Stacy, I have indeed almost every day, and went out for a long ride today, a 20-mile ride today. But I think I'm ready to get back on my regular bikes. The e-bike is fun, but I made it. If I'm going to exercise, I might as well just be riding my other bike. So. So whoever asked me what I'm drinking tonight, it's Wild Turkey American Honey. It's practically a liqueur. It's very rich, very good, very easy. If you like Wild Turkey, you'll love this. Let's see, Donald Bird. Let me see. Can you actually search this thing? Yeah. No, because he's a recognized musician. So the YouTube audio library consists of music that has been given to YouTube for the express purpose of YouTube content creators sharing it. And so you can select the type of music all the way from alternative and punk, ambient, children's to the mood. We're playing calm music tonight. You can break down by instrument, by duration, and then there's one little thing that you click as you set for your criteria, your search criteria, attribution not required, or all licenses. And so if you want to do what I'm doing tonight, you have to choose the one attribution required, or you have to list each one of the songs that require attribution in your description box below. And if you're monetized, they make money on that. So all the ones that I'm playing tonight are attribution not required. So this is Bluesy Vibes. It's a stinger. So this is there are folks that produce music that you could use if you're making like one of our intros, right? So if I wanted to make an intro that was slightly different from this. So the music that backs up that intro is called a stinger. It's about 7 seconds long. And so this one is called Bluesy Vibes, and it's a stinger, so it's only 7 seconds long. I'll play it for you. But if I was making an intro and I wanted to make a special intro that was jazzy for, let's say, Church of the Search, I could use this stinger because somebody's put it up there without attribution required. So that's a jazzy 7-second stinger. So this is Unicorn Heads with Lazy Porch Swing Blues. Did Birdie just come in the room? Hi, Birdie. Birdie, you don't have to apologize for being late to Church of the Search. No need for apology. Ronnie Lee, the ones are for, I asked people to vote if they wanted to go another hour with the Church of the Search, and if they did, to put a 1 in the chat room, in their chat line. Hi, Moni. Yes, I did. I played it as the intro to tonight's show, but I'll play it just before we outro out as well. So you'll get to hear it again. Well, Birdie, the good news is we're going to stay on for about another hour or so. So, still waiting for Candy. Oh, do not disturb. All right, Candy, if you want to call and talk about Catcher in the Rye, please feel free. Phone lines are back to being open. So I like Brad's analysis of Rio Grande. Joe, you had a pretty good call. Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it? All right. So I think we're way down in terms of viewers. So maybe we'll give somebody else a chance to start another show here. Let's see what's going on here. Because if there are other things that other people want to do, they can do that. Let's go back to see if there are some. Hey, Toby, it's John in Arizona, a.k.a. Dr. Fenn. Want to talk about Kerwin and Barry from Florida, Pennsylvania. Oh, I think this is Sherry. Hey, it's Toby on AGK. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Toby. It's Sherry from PA. How are you?
Very good, Sherry. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you.
How can I help you?
Well, don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I'm going back to that photo of the jet.
Yeah.
That we discussed last night. And I was just curious. I know that you said it was a different plane, and that makes perfect sense. And having been an editor, I just get real, anal about the details and stuff, with writing. But now my thought is, and I don't know how it would help anybody or not, but so like if he had gotten shot down twice, and the last time that he took a flight, if I remember, again, I don't have my book, but he wanted to go out one last time after he last got shot down. So that obviously would be a different plane.
Right.
And then he was shot down with that one plane. So that would be, let's just say he took 30 missions, I don't know, with that plane. And so that plane returned him 29 times. But the plane in the picture, if he, it says he took off 274, he climbed that ladder 274 times, and it returned him 272. But if he got shot down in that plane, it would only have returned him one time. So, in other words, I'm just wondering why that caption doesn't say, this plane, I climbed this ladder 274 times, and it brought me back safely 273. Do you know what I'm saying?
So it says, I climbed that ladder 274 times in Vietnam. And each time I wondered if that beautiful plane would bring me home again. It did 272 times. So you're concerned about the two discrepancies, right?
Right. Wouldn't that plane have only brought him back 273 times?
Okay, so here's another option for you. So so he refers, and I think he does call it missions. So let me just make sure before I give you something to work with here. So he's talking at that point. He's talking about the aircraft type, right? So they're referred to as types. Let me see if I can get back to where he mentions, I flew 326 combat missions and had been shot down once already. The mission was scheduled to be my last because my year was almost up, right? So he flew the same type aircraft the entire time he was in Vietnam. He climbed that ladder 272 times. And in that 272 times, he flew a total of 326 combat missions. Meaning that on any given day, you can fly, you'd fly out on a mission, whatever the mission was. Let's say it's to drop some bombs on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Okay? Then you'd fly back to, where was he? Binh Thuy? Not Binh Thuy.
To Ahoy or something like that.
Thuy Hoa.
Okay.
Thuy Hoa. So you'd fly back to Twiwa, you'd rearm, and you would fly another mission.
Oh, so it would be more than one mission each time.
Well, not necessarily, because when you look at it, it's 272 climbs, right? 200. He climbed up into it 272 times, and in that 272 times, he flew 300 and what is it? 28 missions, did I say? So you'd have to. It was an average. So there was an average, right? You'd end up with an average number of missions per climb. Oh my God. I don't know what this is doing in here. So I just found a picture of myself, Polaroid no less. Polaroid picture of myself in Vietnam.
Oh, wow. Thank you for your service.
And that looks like a Canto. Hang on a sec. Let me get this. Why is that in there? And Tea with Olga, no less. Let me go back to your picture and we can actually do the calculation. Okay. So he flew, what did I say? 320?
I'm trying to remember. I think
326 combat missions. Okay. So he flew 326 combat missions, but he climbed the ladder 274 times. So 326 divided by 274. So he flew an average of 2 combat missions for each time he climbed into that aircraft.
Okay. So that all makes sense again. Okay. Yeah,
Right.
I just I look obviously like everybody for anything that I can think of that might be a clue or a hint anyway in the text, and the numbers just didn't match, and that's why it kept saying in my mind, could that possibly be something that's important? But anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. Got those numbers worked out again? Sooner or later, we'll get these numbers all worked out to your satisfaction, Miss
No.
Miss Editor.
No, I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one with semicolon too. Sorry, but okay, great. Thank you, Toby.
All right. Talk to you later. You have a good evening.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Yeah, we got that worked out. Let's see. It's John in Arizona, a.k.a. Dr. Fenn. Want to talk about... Yeah, I'll call you, John. Let me talk to... Candy's been trying to call in, so let's call Candy here real quick.
Hello.
Hey, Candy, it's Toby.
Oh, hey, Toby. What's
How are
up?
you doing? Not a whole bunch. I was hoping that you would tell me what's up.
I was just sending you some text messages just to, start some topics when the show started. And then I know I was mentioning, the Catcher in the Rye versus the Slimmers and the Thrill of Chase.
Mhm.
And some of the, people in the chat were saying like, oh, you should call in. And then you went to refresh your drink. So I was making food downstairs. And then people were like, oh, Toby says for you to call in. So I was like, oh, okay.
So I would like to hear your theories about the relationship between the Catcher in the Rye and the Thrill of the Chase. And I thought I read, I'm not sure if I read this in tonight's chat room, but did you say something like there was a 1-to-1 relationship between the chapters, et cetera, something like that?
Yeah, so first off, Smell of Sunshine, he did the video Important Literature, and that really got me thinking about things that he was saying. He's saying, Fenn was channeling his inner Holden Caulfield voice. And for the longest time, I've been super stubborn. I did not want to believe that Fenn was channeling J.D. Salinger and the book was about Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know much about it. I Googled it and I was like, wow, this sounds terrible. I don't want to read this.
Yeah.
And then a week ago, I finally listened to it on audiobook.
Which is
the one from the 1950s, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And that one's my favorite one. And I started listening to it and it is so good. I know it's very crass and it's got, some language and stuff, but it's good. It's really good. So I started paying attention to detail about certain things. And I started to realize, in the beginning of Important Literature, Fenn tells you he didn't know what to do. And then one day he finds out this guy, J.D. Salinger, died. he went to Borders, picked up the book, read it, loved it, realized this dude was talking about him and his life.
Yeah.
And he says the stories were different, the people were different, the places and the schools were different, but he said it was basically my very own storyline. So then I started reading, more Thrill of the Chase and reading more Catcher in the Rye. And I started realizing that Fenn uses characters from Catcher in the Rye, and he replaces them with characters, from his life. So the teacher that failed him, that failed him in the very beginning, I forgot the names, like starts with an S. That's Miss Ford, and he even says that she's failing him, stuff like that. And then the other teacher, the one that he visits all the time, that one represents his dad. And then there's just like a whole area of different characters that he broke down. But my point is that when you read The Thrill of the Chase, sometimes in the chapters, you can tell when he's channeling Caulfield versus when he's just being himself. And anytime you hear Fenn say anyways, that's him channeling Holden, because in the book, you can hear it too. He talks about, complaining about everyone being phonies, people, embarrassing him. But then he'll go on and say, anyways. And it's just like, oh, okay, that's definitely Fenn making this stuff up.
Right.
So then you start looking at, Holden gets kicked out of school and he runs home crying. And Fenn does that when he gets kicked out of, the chapter Stout-Hearted Men.
Right.
And he runs home crying. And then there's talks about, there's so many things, like talks about in The Catcher in the Rye when he talks about going to his brother's grave and it rained twice. And Fenn talks about going to Borders, it raining twice. I was on my own channel a week ago talking about more luminaries, but it was just so many things. So I started to notice that Fenn took the storyline of The Catcher in the Rye and he uses it to create the storyline, but it's not all true. And he even says, you only have to be 85% right, part of the time.
Right.
So there's only a few chapters I've noticed that are actually truly about him and make more sense. So, My War for Me, and then there was In Love with Yellowstone. I don't have the book in front of me right now, but there's just different ones. And then talks about, when Fenn said, if you don't know where Warmore's Halt is, you should stay home and play canasta. Well, that's him channeling Holden Caulfield again, because Holden Caulfield asked his roommate or his friend after his roommate Stradlater punched him in the face to play canasta with him.
Yeah.
And there's just all these little details. And then, Holden has his little hunter hat. Fenn has his little, the raccoon hat when he's going out traveling. And then there's even more, but it was talking about, the ducks. Holden was following the ducks to the lake. Fenn's talking about ducks on the long ride home with his brother. It was just little tiny minute details, but I was going to do a video on it sometime next week.
Yeah.
My computer broke, but my boyfriend just fixed it. So I was going to start that next week. But it was just, I can't even tell you how many things I've connected with it. And I was talking about it last week on my show. But it's very interesting. So I feel
he did Salinger numbered the chapters, and there are 26 chapters.
Yes, that too.
And I'm just so the last chapter, which is the equivalent of his epilogue, is about a page long when you compare it. But it's done in that same style of indifference, right? I'm going to read just a little bit from it. That's all I'm going to tell about. I could probably tell you what I did after I went home and how I got sick and all, and what school I'm supposed to go to next fall after I get out of here. But I don't feel like it. I really don't. That stuff doesn't interest me too much right now. A lot of people, especially this one psychoanalyst guy, now this is interesting that he writes psychoanalyst. A lot of people, especially this one psychoanalyst guy that they have here, keeps asking me if I'm going to apply myself when I go back to school next September. It's such a stupid question, in my opinion. I mean, how do you know what you're going to do till you do it? The answer is you don't. I think I am, but how do I know? I swear it's a stupid question. And there's some of that although he doesn't finish that way, Fenn doesn't writes a more soulful epilogue where he talks about his father. It isn't as I don't want to say arrogant. It's not quite arrogant. It's
Cynical.
Pardon me.
Well, I mean, when Holden was talking about his epilogue, he sounded very cynical about everything.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think there's a cynicism in the entire discussion, indicating to you that that he doesn't quite trust life. And if you read the thrill of that, he doesn't quite trust the hand that he's been dealt, not his life, but the hand that he's been dealt. And if you read a significant part, the first part of The Thrill of the Chase, you get that Fenn doesn't quite trust the hand that he's been dealt, and he spends a lot of time in his life trying to get around that hand.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's definitely another thing I noticed. But one thing I noticed that it's totally thinking outside the box. This is just my own opinion.
Yeah.
But you know the scene where Stradlater begs Holden to write him a poem for English class, and it's supposed to be something about a house, and he ends up writing a poem about his brother Ali's baseball net. So he gets really mad at him, and he's like, "Well, you're just not being nice, or you want to do something for yourself." So he ends up ripping it up. So if Fenn was channeling Holden, I'm wondering if his poem, The Thrill of the Chase, our poem, is supposed to be kind of like symbolic nod to what Holden was really supposed to write about for his roommate Stradlater, because it's, a poem about a house, the home of Brown.
Yeah.
So that always, made me think about something outside of the box.
So in your opinion, when do you think Fenn read The Catcher in the Rye? Approximately what year?
Well, let's see. When was it released, published? It was like 19. I don't remember. I remember
The first
before.
local editions were 1945. The one that went public with not H&R Brown, but hang on, that's the Little Brown. That was 1951. That was the copy that had the widest publication. But the stories, the book in its kind of raw form was published as early as 1945. Just didn't get a lot of traction.
Well, before I answer that question, I will tell you that before, J.D. Salinger published Catcher in the Rye, he had, the little stories in the newspaper.
Right.
And the first one he did was called Searching on the Madison or something. And it was about the story where Holden goes with Sally on a date and he tells her to run away with him, but he's in New York searching on Madison Street.
Right.
I found out the guy who Fenn purchased Indulgence from ran, I think it was a museum or art gallery or something off of Madison Street. So it's just really crazy. So many similarities are like jumping up. So I personally believe that Fenn has known about J.D. Salinger and Catcher in the Rye for a really long time. And I feel like, back then, those were the books that you weren't supposed to read. Those were the books that you were rebelling against your parents for doing so. And I feel like Fenn probably did that because, they didn't have much else. And he tells a story where, they went around the neighborhood trashing the trash cans because that's as, gnarly as they got. So I feel like Fenn knew JD, and I feel like he personally wanted to finish this because he has a connection to it somehow. So maybe that's one of the stories we'll figure out for, the finder. Maybe he was linked to JD.
You said Madison Street. Did you mean Madison Avenue?
Yeah, there we go. Madison Avenue. Sorry, I don't have my notes in front of
That's
me.
okay. No worries. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I found a lot of crazy stuff.
So there was something, I don't know what triggered. Well, what triggered me was that video that, God, I'm so old. Smell the Sunshine, published, right? And I had ignored the whole. I mean, you can't ignore it because it's in the book, and it's the only book that he enjoyed out of all the others. And he made several mistakes relating to the books. The Great Gatsby and For Whom the Bell Tolls, things like that. So there were a lot of literary errors that should have been edited out that bothered me, but. Then he likes Catcher in the Rye. So I remember I didn't take any more look at it than my memories of having read it in high school and in college. and I had literally had not read it since then. But then I recently listened to, after Fenn sent us all that email. I wasn't even subscribed to Feeling this. What's his name? Smelling the
Smell the
Sunshine.
sunshine.
So I listened to the video and I thought maybe I should give this another shot. So the easiest way for me at that point was to just listen to the Catcher in the Rye audio, right? The version that's on YouTube that somebody's published. Apparently, it's out of copyright. So somebody reads the book in audio on YouTube, and if you listen to that, you can't help just listening to it without actually reading it. You can't help but make connections in your head between Holden Caulfield and Forrest Fenn. You know, somebody said the other day that Caulfield could relate to Steinbeck. I'm sorry, that Fenn could relate to Steinbeck. I don't think that's true. I think Fenn relates to Holden Caulfield.
Yeah.
Right,
100%.
the character. So, well, I'm looking forward to your video. I hope you do something with it because I have a feeling there's something there. That's why I ordered the book. I promised myself, I went to Abe Books, because I know I can always find a first edition. This one is a first edition, and literally it's an unopened condition. It's the little brown 1951 version, and I don't know why it sat so long in this condition, but I decided to order it, and I promised myself it's going to be my bedtime reading now until I finish it. I'm just going to read a chapter at a time, and see if I can make.
I fall asleep listening to it.
Yeah, I could. I just wonder if there's any connections and how that the rebellious Holden Caulfield Caulfield would to Fenn would be a heroic figure because of the rebelliousness and because of the opinion, his opinion and his cynicism. I think those are all characteristics that would appeal to Fenn, even if he's none of those things himself.
Well,
although I couldn't tell you that.
You know how from the preface of Once Upon a While, Doug Preston said that the final clue would be where we found his car in the parking lot of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. There's a scene in the book where Holden meets his sister and, Phoebe, and they're at the not the Denver Museum, they're at the museum.
Right.
And he loves the museum. It's like one of his most favorite places to go because everything in his life is changing. Yet when he goes to the museum, it's never changing. It's always right there. The same, Buffalo Indian. So it's his favorite, place to go. So I'm also wondering, since they're saying the final clue is going to be where he put the car and you're going to find it in a museum, I don't think necessarily it has to be the Denver Museum, but I think it definitely will have something to do with the museum, especially if Fenn's channeling Holden Caulfield.
So do you think that description that Preston said that the final clue will be in the car at the museum, you think that's going to happen?
Well, I mean, why else would he come out and say it? I mean, Fenn
because it's Preston.
knows.
Well, for one thing, it's Preston, but
is he trying to throw us off the trail?
No. Preston's a great marketeer, right? Good. But every time you give Preston a chance, and I've made those recordings, every time you give him a chance to comment on it, he says something like that. There's a clue in there. Make sure you read the first chapter. I mean, he does that. He's done that with every one of Fenn's books from that he's been involved in. And he's not requested. He just did it again in the interview with that Christie did, where he says something like Fenn says something, and then Preston looks at Christie, and I'm not sure how much later this happened, but he says, "Oh, there's a real clue in what he just said to you." That to me is Preston's nature, because as much as he is a New York Times best-selling fiction author, he's also a master marketeer. And I think that's what he brings to the table, my opinion.
Well, I think partially maybe Preston knows what we don't know, because originally wasn't the plan for Fenn to go to Preston and have him do his biography, because Fenn never thought he could do the thrill chase himself. He wanted a famous author or something to write his story for him.
And they all turned him down without even thinking about it.
Yeah, but Preston did get the story, though. That's the thing. He got the story. And I believe the whole thing about the thrill of the chase is we're only getting part of it. We're only getting 15%. Why else would Fenn go out of his way to write a memoir and put it in the chest, if not for a different version? I feel like that's going to be the story itself. So if Preston has, that inside information from when he was originally going to help him, then I could see if he sees stuff that we don't, and then he could say, well, that's a clue, because he knows details about Fenn's story.
So I don't remember Fenn referring to the item, the document in the olive jar as his memoir. I think I remember him calling it a biography, which is different from a memoir.
Yes.
So to me, there is something in the biography that might be gained. The problem is it's an afterthought, because of course by that time you have to have the treasure in your hands in order to read the biography. So could it be that the biography is there specifically for the reason that Fenn cited, so that the person that finds the treasure, whenever it is found, assuming that it isn't found in his lifetime, would know about the crazy person that hid it? So let me ask you a question, because I respect your opinion on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
What is the percentage difference between the thrill of the chase and the biography in the olive jar?
Well, I feel like in the thrill of the chase, Fenn only told us 15%, because even in the intro, doesn't he say, a writer only has to be right about 85% of the time?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what it is. He's giving us little minute details of like certain things, and he right off the bat tells you he likes to embellish stories. And I mean, I did so much research on J.D. Salinger in comparison. And one of the things, if you look up, I think it's on the Wayback Machine, you type in warm waters for J.D. Salinger. There is an article that jumps up that talks about warm waters symbolically representing childhood coming to a halt. Like when childhood stops, that's where the memories in the warm waters, stops, and you have to become an adult.
Yeah.
So there's, a big scene I noticed for Catcher in the Rye when Holden goes to his sister and he tells her that he wants to be the catcher in the rye. He wants to be able to catch the children before they go off the edge, because he doesn't want them to lose their innocence. And he says that the rye is so tall or something that they can't see over it.
Right.
And that instantly made me remember looking for Lois and Clark. Fenn goes with his friend Donnie Joe, and they come to a mountain. It's like the biggest they've ever seen, and they can't even see over it. So I'm wondering if you could figure out where they went for looking for Lois and Clark, maybe that's where the poem takes you, because I think that symbolically is his Catcher in the Rye moment. Just in my weird opinion.
No, and that's okay. It's not weird opinion. It's simply your opinion. But let me go back to my question, because I do want to hear your opinion on this matter.
Mm-hmm.
How much difference, percentage-wise, regardless of what's true and what's false in it, how much difference, percentage-wise, do you believe there is between and we know there's more words in the thrill of the chase than his 20,000 word quote biography unquote that he put in the olive jar. So that the thrill of the chase is longer by 8,000 words or so. What I want to know, in your opinion, is what percentage compatible, I guess is the best way to describe it, is the thrill of the chase to the biography written, and in his case, it's an autobiography, right? He wrote it. So what percentage sameness is there between the thrill of the chase and the autobiography in the olive jar, excluding the extra 8,000 words in the thrill of the chase? Are they 50% of the same, 60% exactly the same, or completely different, in your opinion?
I think it's completely different, because he's basically just following the storyline of the Catcher in the Rye, except for he's replacing the characters from the Catcher with his characters, his story. I mean, you've got Holden, who lost his brother Allie, and then Fenn lost his brother Skippy, and then Holden loses a roommate or something to suicide, and then you find out Fenn lost his father to suicide. So there's like little details where he's telling a version of his story, but not the whole truth, because that's what embellishments are about. So he's copying the storyline of The Catcher. That's why the Thrill of the Chase was originally going to be called the Rice sequel. So when you get to the actual biography in the chest, it's going to be completely different. It's not going to be The Catcher in the Rye. It's going to be Fenn's story. And I think it's going to be, 85% more of the truth. And then we've only got like a couple of chapters in the Thrill of the Chase that tell you what you need to know to find the real story.
All right, I have another question then. So let's say you and I agree that what's in the olive jar is truly an autobiography of the man, as opposed to stories of his life, right? In the classic sense, it is an autobiography. So what he claims is that The Thrill of the Chase is a memoir. What are the chances that The Thrill of the Chase was an assemblage of stories that he had told and then written in order to ensure there was a vehicle in which the poem could ride, and that's all there is to it? That there is no real meaning, and that it was so meaningless, and I'm going to say that in the softest sense so that he doesn't, if he sees this, that it was so meaningless that he basically borrowed Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, gave it the same kind of storyline, the same format, the same things, just so he had a vehicle in which the poem could ride to its purpose.
That's exactly what I think it is. Because I still need to do more research because I'm really deep into this. But I feel like, before he knew he was going to be able to have the Thrill of the Chase, published to the world, there was the Daily Bozeman Chronicle. If you've ever been on, that website.
Yeah.
There's three or four articles Fenn wrote back in 2008. One was Memories of Our Past and Rich Our Present, and that was Looking for Lois and Clark. Then there was another one. I forgot the name. Oh, wait, no. Memories of Our Past and Rich Our Present is Flywater. Then God Protects Foolish Kids is Looking for Lois and Clark. And then there's just a couple other stories. But he wrote those back in 2006 or 2008,
Right.
before we knew that he was writing a book.
Right.
And so why would he just come out, write some random, little stories? And then same thing with his blog. His blog, he wrote the first article back in 2003. I originally saw it before he went and edited it. So he was doing these little things because these are the most important stories. Like My War for Me, the original one was from 2006. So he was doing a backup plan, I feel like. If he didn't feel like he was confident enough to write his own story, he was leaving a little paper trail for people to possibly follow because he never thought it was going to get that big.
All right, last question, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
What's the value of the autobiography in the olive jar? You have a treasure, right? The treasure is already yours. There's an olive jar with a lock of his hair and this autobiography. So what? What's the point? Why is that there?
Well, I feel like that's his real story. That's like, I feel like he has something so great, like just exactly what Kpro says. She says that she thinks there's a huge story and that is just going to be monumentous, right? So I always tell people, if I'm like smart enough to solve this thing and I find that thing, I'm going to open the chest, read the autobiography, take the bracelet, and then leave everything else. That's it. Return the bracelet to Fenn, and I'm just going to leave that chest there, keep it going for the rest of the world. Because that, is the main reason why Fenn did it. He wants to create something that will continuously bring people out. So with the story itself, I honestly couldn't tell you until I read it myself. But I feel like if he put it in there and he's doing all of this trouble creating, a memoir for us to get out in the mountains to find that story, it has to mean something.
All right. One last thing.
Mm-hmm.
You created a new word tonight.
What did I create?
You created monumentous. That's a new word.
Oh, great.
That's good. No, it's good. It's good that people think out on the edge like that. And Fenn would actually appreciate the fact that you needed a word that fit that particular sentence to ensure it was you wanted people to know it was an important sentence, so you created a word. I thought I was impressed.
Oh, thanks. I wasn't even aware. I guess I'm channeling my inner Fenn.
All right. Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing your analysis. I did just recently purchase a Word document, Catcher in the Rye version of Catcher in the Rye in a Word document. So what I'll be able to do is compare the two by literally searching through the both of them and seeing what kind of things I find. So.
That's cool. Yeah, you do a video, I'll do a video, and then we could compare.
Well, I'll just talk about it. I don't do videos anymore. I'll let Shelly do it. Although I got an email from Shelly while we were talking. Let's see.
Oh, what'd she say?
That's what I'm checking right now. Let's see. So, it went all the way to Younis. Hang on. Let's see. Because she doesn't normally write emails this late in the evening, so it must be important. Oh, that's interesting. So she was doing some research. So I'm going to read you the first 3 sentences because she may not be ready to share this just yet. I Google translated brown to marron, which is, that's correct, marron, or moreno. Then translated cimarron to maroon. One of the definitions of maroon is to abandon an old island. On his first and fabled trip to Santa Fe, William Becknell set forth from Franklin, Missouri on September 1st, 1821, with 5 companions and a pack of string horses, a string of pack horses laden with trade goods. Oh, that's interesting. He's going up an interesting thing. I think, isn't William Becknell the guy that was chartered with mapping the Santa Fe Trail, wasn't it? I think that's who Becknell was.
I'm not sure. I'm not very,
in
tune with New Mexico.
Magical treasure princes out there doing some late night research on the Fenn. So we may see a video on that from her one day.
Oh,
all right.
Awesome.
I'm going to wrap up things here, but thank you for calling in. I always enjoy your calls, and I look forward to seeing the videos that you produce on this research related to the Catcher in the Rye. In the meantime, I'll start reading it. I haven't read it since, like I said, college. So I think it's time that I should. And for those of you that asked, I don't know if there's anything there any more than anybody else does, but it was curious to me that there was one other time when Fenn suggested we look at a video, and that's when
Smarter Every Day.
Smarter Every Day did the reverse bicycle, the backwards bicycle video, and he was really impressed with that.
Are we 100% sure it was the backward bicycle that he was mentioning?
I remember him responding to something that indicated it was that was the one that intrigued him.
Okay. I'll watch that one for like 100 more times.
Yeah, we actually did a video on it, and we incorporated part of his video in our video. Now, it didn't monetize, but because we didn't have any copyright strikes against us, YouTube let us take a look at it. So look for the video, The Backwards Bicycle, on our channel, and you can see what we got away with.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do that right now.
Okie doke. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Toby.
You're welcome.
Bye.
I do want to remind everybody that on Wednesday, we're giving away another copy, a dye sublimation print of my daughter's Saint Corona, who is the patron saint of treasure hunters, interestingly enough. She's done a beautiful job, and she gave me 10 of these to give away. And this one is going to Craig O'Hare, who won it last time. But if you want to be in next Wednesday's drawing, go make a comment on last Wednesday's video, on our last Wednesday's show, to ensure that you're included in the drawing. You only have to make one comment. It ignores the duplicates, okay? But if you'd like a copy of that, and Sassy wanted me to hold it up to the thing. So Sassy, are you still in the room? So that's the image there. Sean signed it down here in the corner of the picture. You can see her right there, her name right there. And then I matted it and framed it. And I don't know, I know Sarah got hers, and she had a picture of it on her Facebook page. So, Christy, did you get yours? And then, and we sent one to John Miller, I think, as well, from our in our member vault, one of our member vault, or maybe it was it John or Jim? One of our members won one as well. So if you would like to try and win one, if you'd like to be in the drawing on next Wednesday, make sure you go to last Wednesday's show and make a comment. We'll use commentpicker.com to pick one, a comment picker to pick a name and win one of those as well. It's a beautiful retablo. It has all of Sean's classical skills in it. And by the way, if you'd like to know more about my daughter Sean, we interviewed her last night on Sales Leaders Institute. I'm going to put that link in here. So you know a lot about Jason. So you guys know I have 6 children, or you may not know that, I guess. My 2 oldest children are artists. The others are on the marketing, sales, technology side of the house, but they're all very talented. Ryan Marie especially, but Sean. Both Sean and Jason make a very good living at art, and their chosen art has a Hispanic influence. In the case of Sean, she does retablos, but she also does Day of the Dead, Muerto imagery, and that's been a real revenue generator for her. But what she is a master of is marketing her artwork. She teaches classes to other artists on how to market their artwork, how to take a single product, a single image, and leverage that into a variety of other channels that they can use. So she's, and like other people, she's experiencing what we're experiencing. Her revenue has gone down. Her clients are busy keeping alive and things like that. So, but if you want to know more about Sean, I'll post the link to that video in the chat room so you can look at her. She's so as you guys know, I have 4 daughters and I just love them all. I love my sons, don't get me wrong, but I have just a passion for watching my daughters succeed and doing everything I can to ensure they're successful. And we did the first of those interviews. I'll do this too. The first of those, if you want to see the difference between the two. So Sean is my oldest daughter. Toby Renee is my youngest. And we did our first interview with her because she's a techie. She works for a company called Toby Pro, which does research in the area of eye tracking. So they literally, you put on a pair of glasses and they can see for companies that are interested, one of the areas. Anyway, she's in some cases kind of the same way as Sean, but in some cases very different because she's not an artsy person. She's a great photographer, I should say that. But that second one is Toby Renee. So if you want to meet, like I said, you've met Jason, you've seen him on the show. If you want to meet 2 of my daughters, go to you can watch those videos. And eventually we're going to be interviewing the other daughters because my daughter, Ryan Marie, is in the marketing side of ATPCO. That's the company that's responsible for running, for managing all the airlines' schedules. They work out of offices very near Dulles Airport, on Dulles Airport property. And then my other daughter, Erica, the one that just had the baby, Palmer Ray, Erica Ray works for a company called Litify, and Litify is a company that specializes in implementing a product called Salesforce.com. Salesforce is a customer relationships management, and Litify installs Salesforce in law firms, and Erica is a consultant for them. So my other son's name is Carl Matthew. He works for it's one of the big consulting firms in Washington. He works for, oh my goodness, Deloitte and Touche. He's a consultant. He's a intelligence community consultant. He has a clearance, and he's an intelligence community consultant for Deloitte and Touche in Washington. And he's married. They have one son whose name is Ty, which I think is really cute. Anyway, so yeah, we have Huli doesn't like Salesforce. Salesforce.com is a great product. As a matter of fact, I know the CEO. I met the CEO, Mark Benioff, when I was consulting with Oracle, and they had just recruited Mark out of Stanford University to build out their Macintosh product. And the only thing I remember the first time I met him, I had to interact with him because I was also at the time I was doing consulting work, and I was trying to get the Oracle product accepted as a standard by the National Institute of Standards and Technology at the time. So that's why they hired me as a consultant. And Mark was working on the Macintosh product for them because they didn't have one at the time. And the only thing I remember the first time I met him was he looked like a college kid with the pinkest cheeks I have ever seen. He had pink cheeks, and he looked so healthy. That's the only thing I remember about him. So Mark Benioff, good guy. So I can tell you stories about that, about the IT industry. All right, guys, I think we'll call it a night for tonight. We're coming up on the 10 o'clock hour. We had a couple of really good calls tonight. Rio Grande Joe was right on tonight, I thought. He was in very good spirits, wasn't he? So I'm gonna hang up the phone line right now. So not hang it up, but put on Do Not Disturb. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm glad that you could. I know it's really hard because we're all playing this stay-at-home lockdown game and doesn't leave a lot of options for communicating with other people. I'm going to strongly recommend, as I have in other cases, do what they tell you to do. Stay inside, avoid as little contact. And as you know, we're starting to see the peak in a lot of locations. That means we're coming off that curve. Even Tony Fauci, Dr. Fauci of the CDC, is saying that the number of expected deaths has fallen, which is good. Remember that there's still people, and those people have families, and so no death from this virus is a good death. But I think we're gonna start coming out of this, and I'm hoping that by midsummer we can start traveling again and communicating and coming in contact with our friends. But of course, all of that is going to change the manner in which we do that. I can't imagine people are going to shake hands anymore. I guess I don't know. I'm a hugger. I like hugging people. So I guess I'm going to have to be careful with that because I'm at high risk. It's kind of a pain, but. Anyway, do what they ask you to tell. Stay home as much as you can. Avoid the crowds. If you do avoid the crowds, make sure your face is covered at least, and make sure you use. I have the bottle of hand sanitizer in my truck, and every time I get out of my truck and back into my truck, I use the hand sanitizer, and I use it 2 or 3 times a day aside from showers in the morning and evening. So do that. Enjoy your families as much as you can. For those of you that celebrate this particular holiday, please do so, but do so from a distance. There's ways to do it. If you're not already using Zoom, I strongly recommend you go to zoom.us, learn how to use it. There's a free version that you can use and share it with your family and invite them. I'm meeting with my family tomorrow at 3 o'clock my time. So that we can see the new babies and see how Ryan is doing with her pregnancy, and everybody can chat and talk and things like that. So use Zoom. FaceTime is one way, but if I remember correctly, FaceTime is very one-on-one. Zoom lets you all get together, and what's fun is you're not going to mute any of your family members. So if your family is like my family, they're all trying to talk at the same time. So it's kind of fun to be the master of ceremonies of a Younis family Zoom meeting. It's impossible, actually. Other than that, I love you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. Be healthy, be safe. I told you last night that the last thing I want to hear, and that Shelley wants to hear, is that we've lost one of our search community to this horrendous virus. And so I want to make sure that we, on Wednesdays, Fridays, and the occasional Saturday night, that every one of you is in every one of those rooms so that we can be together and have the crazy chat and conversations that we do. All right? So I promised Moni that I would play. She played Memories before I checked out, and then we'll go straight to an outro. Thank you for joining me tonight. Love you. Be safe. Be healthy.
I left my boots and my faded jeans in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and swapped them for a coat and tie and someplace else to go. I had days that were laced with white lines on narrow blacktop roads, with honky-tonks around the day and drunken episodes. Those flashing lights and them busted fists and women with no name. And mornings past the night before I learned to play the game. Then one night I was peeling labels on empty bottles of beer. A sweet young girl and her guitar played tunes I swore were yours. 'Cause she played memories, the kind every romance to. You dark rhapsody, with midnight rendezvous. Yeah, she played memories of songs that made me blue. Sweet soft melodies that took me back to you. She stripped me bare and read my heart like it was an open book. I tried to lie as always, but her voice is all it took to bring back Sunday morning rides and sunsets by the stream and old grass beds we made love in and dreamed our silly dreams. I drank her words like they were wine and looked into her eyes. She turned her head and walked away, made me realize the longest days and the darkest nights were more than I could face. The only thing that I could do would leave that lonesome place. But she played memories, the kind that leave romance to. The dark rhapsodies, the midnight rendezvous. Yeah, she played memories of songs that made me blue. Sweet soft melodies that took me back